I always thought it would be nice to have a house in the country, and Bill didn't seem to be too taken with that idea. But one day, out of nowhere, he said to me, would you like to take a trip up and see if there are any houses we might be interested in? And sure enough, we found this house that had been empty for 2 years. But anyway, we went up there, we saw the house, and we decided yes, we'd say yes. And as I said, it takes an hour and 10 minutes door to door. When we bought the house, there was no porch. This had the regular windows like all the other windows. And I've always wanted sliding glass doors that would lead out to the back, and so we decided to do that, and we had those put in, and we had this deck put in, and basically Bill sits on the porch all summer long while I would work outside, and he would once in a while say to me, come inside, sit down, and give my eyes a rest, which I always thought was very funny. It is so quiet and so wonderful, and basically that's what we like, being here and just cooling it and making it as comfortable as it can be, and it surely is. I think I was 18 and a half when I got to New York, and I had never been to the baths, but I fell in love with them. And I started going every Friday night.
Yeah, a friend of mine, one Friday, he asked me if I had ever been to the bath. And I said, no, I hadn't. And so he said, well, you're missing something, so let's go tonight. So I was standing outside the steam room, and there were these people going by, and each one I looked at and I thought, wow, maybe do you suppose it would be possible to have a relationship with this person or that person? And suddenly I saw this fascinating looking person, and he was standing outside the steam room smoking his cigarette, and we sort of introduced ourselves to each other, and we went to the back of the bath and began to talk a little bit. And I was totally taken by him. And I said, you want to come home with me? And John said, well, sure.
And the minute the door opened into this apartment of his, there was this wonderful painting by Rene Magritte called The Empire of Light. And we have sort of adopted that as when the door opened, the Empire of Light shone, and that was the beginning of it was an epiphany.
And I thought, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And sure enough, it was.
And then I got my draft notice, and I thought, holy shit, meet a guy like this. I've been dreaming about this at least for the last 4 years. And my great fear was they'd send me to Europe or who knows where, and they did. 6 months before Germany, used to come and visit me in Fort Dix, right?
Right.
We had the joke about I'm visiting my boy in the army with a big salami. We'd have a little picnic, and he would always bring fried chicken and deviled eggs, and we'd sit there totally enraptured with the thought of being together. And then he did everything in his power to make sure that we would have a life together, even though we were separated for 18 months. He would write me every several days these wonderful letters about how he couldn't wait for me to come back, and we were off and running, basically. Aren't they beautiful? Yeah. Well, the apartment, we've been here since 1965. When I met Bill, he lived up in Washington Heights, and somehow by accident we found out that this was available, and we just fell in love with it the minute we saw it, and we've been here ever since.
50 years.
50 some years.
Some odd years.
He took me to see my first foreign movie. I'd never seen a foreign movie. He took me to dinner one time at a place called the Brittany Cafe on 9th Avenue. That it was the first French meal that I'd ever had, and I was his project. And he wanted me to get a degree, and he wanted me to move on and move up, and he made it absolutely his goal to support me in every way. I went to school at night for 9 years, 4 nights a week, worked full time. I never did a thing. Bill made my meals, he made the bed, he did the laundry. I mean, it was unbelievable. The first thing he did when I really got accepted at Baruch, he bought this Encyclopedia Britannica and a brand new desk, and it was obvious that he was going to do everything he could to help me make it. He wanted to do that, and I knew it. And so when I was getting ready to graduate and I got my degree, I told Bill he will never, ever, as long as we live, do the laundry again. And that was in 1971. And so he has never, ever done the laundry since. This wall is basically dedicated to our 23 trips over 23 years to Spain that we just absolutely had the most wonderful time. We started at the south and we went all the way up to the north. Bill drove, we drove all through Spain for 23 years. And I was sitting in this wonderful seat, looking here, looking there, looking down around, seeing every wonderful thing about the paisaje. And I never gave it a second thought. I always thought that Bill was seeing the things that I saw. And then when we decided I would do all the driving to the country, I thought, oh my God, all the stuff that he must have missed all those years by driving me around like I was some, I don't know what, dignitary. We've been together in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the zeros, and now we're in the 11s. 7 decades. Inhale and puff. Keep it there. Okay, take it out of your mouth, put the clip in. Bill is definitely in the early stages of Parkinson, and he's not as swift as he used to be. His attitude is wonderful. There are a lot of things he can't do quite as well as he used to do without any problem, and so he needs a little more help, but I get overwhelmed once in a while. I get a little bit snappy, which bothers me, makes me feel really crappy, that I can't be more patient, and he tells me that I'm too hard on myself, which I find typical. But yes, he needs a little more help, and I'm glad I can do it. I was his project, now he's my project. It's a real privilege. I call it payback time. I'm paying him back for all he did for me from day one. When I was sent to Germany, Bill would write these letters to me to make sure that I knew how important I was to him and how he couldn't wait for me to come back and how he missed me. This is a letter dated December 5th, 1958. We met on December 6th, 1957. And it starts off, "My dear John, 1 year ago today, ! I'm remembering the birth of my greatest and completed happiness on this day. I am the happiest and most grateful man. I have tried to tell you at so many times and in so many ways what it all has meant to me, and I must say it again today, that the joy I have known in being your friend has never been surpassed, and it brightens every prospect for the future. I can only wish fervently that all these future days we can celebrate together and weld our affections in an ever-strengthening bond. John, I think of you and can't wait to be with you. MTE Bill." MTE stands for more than ever. That's the way he always signed all these letters.
That says it all.
There you have it.